Hey, what's going on, Steve?
Hey, Mike, what you doing, man?
Yeah, just, you know, living the dream.
Hey, you're in Bellflower.
Yeah.
Bellflower, USA.
So, you can see we're both wearing our little veils and stuff. Wanted to do an update on that hive that we removed from Kindred.
Yeah.
And I wanted to wait till Steve was available to do it because we both removed it together. So, I'm going to hand the camera off to Steve and let's take a look inside the hive.
Let's do it.
I already smoked the hive. So hopefully we can see the queen. This hive is doing pretty good. Hey, they've drawn out quite a few of these frames on top. So you can see there's a second box. When I first put it in, there was just the one box. Just a little smoke.
And what was that paper you took off the top?
Oh, this is an inner cover. So this is a piece of feed bag called feed bag inner cover.
Okay.
And I just cut it to the size of the top of the hive and just put it on there to keep them from sticking the lid down.
Okay.
They're doing pretty good. They've still been pretty docile. I haven't noticed much aggression from them or anything. This comb was on there from before these went in. They filled it with some nectar. They're really not drawing this one yet. I like this colony because they draw comb really quickly. And they're working well on the plastic foundation, which I'm really grateful for, because some bees don't do so well on plastic. Some other bees have a hard time with it. So I'm thankful for that. You can see they're drawing that out pretty good. Yeah, they're putting away nectar here. So this is a heavy frame. Let's see what's going on here. Yeah, look at this brood pattern. Lots of brood there in the middle. Those darker wax cappings, that's all larval bees.
So they're going to town. They're developing. They're building their colony.
Yep. They're building up real well. I haven't seen the queen yet. I did find the queen in here and mark her at one point. There she is. See the blue dot on her head? There's our queen.
I see her floating right there.
Yep. So she's in here doing her thing. She's beautiful, she's big, she's calm. All the bees around her are calm.
So what is she currently doing?
Well, she's checking out these cells to see where to lay. Look here, we've got a bee emerging. This looks like a drone. See the big eyes? This guy's coming out. So that's when a bee is first hatched or emerged, see how light colored it is? Its wings are really pale. It's pale on top. This is the way they look when they first come out of a cell. So you'll get that real pale look there. And his wings are well formed. I don't see any mites on them, which is good. I did do mite treatments on this hive. I did 3 oxalic acid vapor treatments. So that helps knock the mites out and keep them healthy. So this hive is just thriving, and they're nice and calm. They're well tempered. They're putting away nectar. They're drawing comb well. I have no complaints. This is an awesome hive. Yep. So that's another brood frame there.
So
look at that.
When we're doing a hive inspection like this, what are we looking for? What's the goal, the purpose, and how does it help the health of the colony?
Yeah. So what I want to look for is, do we have a queen? Is she laying? Are they storing nectar? Are there any other pests in the hive that we need to be concerned about, like hive beetles, wax moths, or mites? What's our brood pattern look like? What's the volume of laying look like? So we know we have a queen, we know she's laying, and we want to see frames like this somewhere in the hive. See how this is wall-to-wall brood, and there's just a little tiny bit of honey here? Now, even if there was some honey in the corners and it was just brood in the center, it would be good, but seeing something like this is exceptional. This is an exceptional queen. When she lays in a pattern where it covers almost the entire frame, that's a really good queen. And look, it's the same thing on the other side. When you see stuff like this, this is a great sign. This means you have a really good queen. So this is a queen I would want to breed from. Also, we notice like the wax cappings on top of the brood. Move the bees out of the way. Go on, little bees. See the wax cappings, how they're all protruding a little bit, and they're nice and like kind of amber color. You don't see any sunken in cappings or anything, so you have a nice healthy hive. If you have American foul brood or European foul brood, you'll see the cappings are sunken and there's really, you might have a nasty odor to the hive. So you want to smell, if you smell something foul, you might have a brood problem. But this hive is very healthy. Your bees, you're looking for deformed wings. If you see bees that have crumpled wings that are small, their abdomens are an odd shape, then you know you have what's called deformed wing virus, and that's usually caused by mites. Mites transmit that throughout your hive. So usually when you're seeing deformed wing virus, it's a mite problem. You need to treat for mites. So I'm looking for all of that. And a lot of times for, like I mentioned, small hive beetle very briefly a second ago, those you'll see on the lid a lot of times and on the top of the frames. So a lot of times when I pull this off, I'll quickly look and see if I see any beetles. One thing I like about these particular types of covers is because they're so tight against the top of the frames, and the bees tend to draw this propolis on them. I really haven't had many problems with small hive beetles in the lids. And a lot of times there's different styles of inner covers. There's some that have a lip on them that gives a little space between the top of the top bars here and the bottom side of the wood. So instead of it just being flat on top, it's raised up by maybe a 1/4 inch. And a lot of times beetles will breed in there. So these, I think, help a bit, and full sun helps a bit. So, and not giving them too much comb that they can't manage helps. So.
Now, one of the terms you've been using is brood.
Yes.
What is brood exactly? For the ignorant and learning.
No, that's a great question. So brood is the term used to just refer to the larval bees. The brood chamber is the part of the hive where the queen lays, and brood is the larval bees in the comb. So when we're looking for brood, we're looking for comb that has these types of cappings on it. This is a brood frame.
And so less brood means a less healthy hive or a developing hive, depending on the state.
Exactly, and you can have less brood for different reasons, depending on the time of year, the weather, and the bloom. If the bees don't have enough resources to feed babies, then they'll slow down on laying. But so like if you have a summer dearth where everything gets so hot that you don't have a bunch of flowers blooming, the queen will slow down, she'll lay less, and you'll have fewer bees being made in that time of year, but that's normal. So it depends on the time of year, it depends on the health of the hive too. If you have a small hive that doesn't have a big workforce, it takes them a longer time to get built up. So
okay.
I think I'm going to leave it at that. We could open the rest of the hive, but I really don't want to disturb them any more than they need to be.
We've seen a healthy colony. We found the queen. She looks good. The bees don't look diseased. We see lots of brood. We see developing comb. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They seem to be a healthy, happy, thriving hive.
Yeah. Another thing you want to look for is the space and the volume of bees for the space. So you can see we have several undrawn frames. So this hive has plenty of room to expand.
Okay.
We want to make sure they have enough room to expand, but not so much extra drawn comb that they can't manage it. So if you have undrawn frames like this, it doesn't really matter how many they have in there as long as the weather's fair. But if you have drawn comb and not enough bees to tend it, that comb can attract wax moths, and the wax moths will just go to town. They'll overrun the hive and they can destroy your colony. So that's, some of these hives are potentially, especially this one on the end, might be in that situation. So I'm looking for different things in those hives because a lot of the boxes on there have all drawn comb. Another thing you look at is temperament. Are your bees in your face? Are they going crazy? Are they stinging you? But you can see, like, I had a couple come at me, but there's no bees buzzing me in my face.
I can
no put problem. My hand over here. They're not attacking me.
Well, you were even touching them to move them out of the way.
Yeah.
And they just kind of moved along, left you alone.
Exactly. So that's, you want to look at the temperament of your hive. And a lot of times as hives grow, in size and volume, they will get a little more feisty because there's more guard bees, and that's normal. But if you have a hive that's of a moderate size and they're really going crazy, then you know you have a hot hive.
So the question for you, Mike, is if you do have a hot hive, which we were just discussing, can it be reclaimed? Do you have to destroy it? What's the procedure for a beekeeper like this, a backyard beekeeper, to do if the hive should become aggressive?
Yeah, it depends on how hot it is. If you don't feel safe in your yard regularly and you're concerned, you might have to tape it up and suffocate it. If they're only really agitated after inspections, you might be able to salvage it. And I actually had to do that with one of these hives last year. You have to find the queen, dig through the hive, find the queen, and kill her. And then requeen with another queen and hope for the best. Give them about 6 weeks. And if they haven't calmed down in 6 weeks, you may have to liquidate the hive. So the only chance for turning around a hot hive is to give them a new queen, because that's fully a genetic issue. If the hive is displaying defensive behavior when other hives aren't, because sometimes you'll have a nectar dearth and then they get more defensive because of robbing bees and fear of being robbed, and all the hives will be a little bit more defensive. So that's not necessarily a hot hive. That could just be normal defensive behavior. But if you have your other hives are fine and you get to that one hive and it's just crazy, that's probably a hot hive.
Okay.
So that's a function. That is a function of Africanized genetics.
Anything besides Africanized genetics that would cause a hive to be hot? I know you mentioned looking for food.
Yeah.
Potentially time of year. Any other options? Or is that really
Yeah.
it?
If it's a general characteristic of the hive, regardless of other factors, it's most likely an Africanized genetics problem. The other factors that can contribute to it are nectar dearth that can cause a hive to be more defensive. Time of day, a lot of times they're a little more defensive in the afternoon. So that's why we're out here at around noon. It's nice and warm. The sun's out.
They're out doing their job.
Yeah, and a lot of them are out working. They're focused on putting away honey and stuff. So sometimes any hive can be a little testy in the afternoon. Other hives, they may not be testy in the afternoon, but that's often a thing. So time of inspection can affect that some.
Okay.
What I think distinguishes Africanized genetics from just a hive being defensive, Africanized bees will tend to follow you a lot farther than just bees, regular European honeybees defending their hive.
So they'll chase you away. They want to
Yeah.
make sure you're far away.
For instance, so the hive I had that I know had Africanized genetics to some extent, I would inspect the hive, go in the house, come out 15 minutes later, there would be bees waiting at the back door and they follow me into the house and sting me.
Oh.
So
They're
that's,
very, very aggressive.
yeah, they're like attack bees. They're not just defensive. They're out for blood. So that's very unusual for even a normal hive that gets a little defensive based on weather conditions. So, or if you're just walking around and all of a sudden bees are just all over you and you're near the hive, you can see you're right in front of the hive. I'm right behind
Yeah.
it. They're leaving us alone.
There's none on me.
Yeah.
I had one crawl up my leg earlier, but it took off as soon as I lifted up my
Yeah,
leg.
I'm glad you got it out because I've gotten stung too close to the
to the
business
area.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So this is a great hive, man. Thanks for filming. I appreciate it.
Of course.